Hello, welcome back to Funky Flashbacks and Futures, where I interview people somewhat related to Friday Night Funkin', giving you all the big scoop. We're finally back on mod teams. I apologise for the individual ones, but I had those two in mind for a while. Plus, why don't you go check out the... Just promote it already! Alright, just watch these two! This week's topic is Doki Takeover Plus, a mod based on the indie horror game disguised as a cute visual novel Doki Literature Club. The game follows you as a protagonist, joining and attending a literature club run by 4 girls, Sayori, Natsuki, Yuri, and Monika. It follows what you expect in a visual novel, all the cute character moments, tense love, writing... Oh, that's right there!
But when does this game get fucking good?
Team TBD have adapted this onto an FNF mod, matching boyfriend against all the Dokis plus more. As usual, timestamps in the comments for your convenience. Enjoy! Hello, we are back! Yet again, this is the 4th interview I've done, which is amazing. So last time we did Rec D, and that was a really fun interview. I had a really fun time doing that with him. This will probably be a bit delayed, this interview, because I've had to actually find more people because I kind of ran out of people to interview. But I got some more people. We have the devs of, or the director, sorry, of Doki Takeover. I played this on stream a little bit ago. VOD's not saved, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, I played it on stream. I played the whole mod. I played it again for research purposes yesterday, which was amazing because I actually really like the mod. So yeah, so we are joined by Duster Buster, who did was like main creator director, did all of the sprites, sorry, mainly the Dokis and that kind of stuff. So introduce yourself right there.
Hello. It is me, the guy, the Sir Duster Buster.
And we also have George, who is a co-director. So why don't you introduce yourself as well?
Hi, I'm George or Jorge, either or works. I did majority programming and helped out with some graphic stuff.
Awesome. So how are you two doing today?
I know I just woke up like 20 minutes ago. I know George was in VC in our usual group for a bit, but I don't know how long you've been up.
I'm doing good. Played a little bit of Smash Bros, but that's really it.
That's cool. I mean, it's 8 p.m. for me, so I've been doing a lot of kind of stuff. But what matters is we're here. We're finally here. Zach is also with us. He's the editor of this video, so say hi, Zach.
Yo, I do the editing, and yeah.
Okay, so with the questions, I wrote this yesterday. I've written 33 questions, but I think a lot of it will be just kind of the good part of the start will be just skimmed over because I put it to one big block. It's what I highlighted in the actual Google Doc. So we will do that. So are we ready to start this? I am.
I'm ready to boogie.
Yeah, and also to say as well, you've looked over the questions, they're fine, everything is fine, let's do this. So, alright, so question 1, to both of you, what does Doki Literature Club mean to you? So what's your experiences, your stories, etc.?
So this was a game I first was introduced to from my friends back in the year when it first came out. Luckily, I got the mostly spoiler-free experience of just them telling me, "Oh, you should play this," and then not really look too much into it. So I did, and I played through the whole thing, and I had nightmares for a week, and it really freaked me out. But I think things that kind of do scare me, kind of being things I get really invested in.
What did you think looking at the big fucking warning just saying this is a psychological horror game. This contains
tell me to look at that.
This don't look at that.
So I did, and then I was like, oh, well, luckily, I can handle that kind of stuff, but also I was like, damn, that stuck with me for a long time the first time I played it, and then since then it's just really stuck with me, so I kept looking back on it, and as I did, I just kept finding more reasons to appreciate that game, especially the non-horror aspects of it, because then I started really liking all the characters, and then what the game does to make it so good as a subversive horror by making it just a good visual novel to begin with, and then since then it's been a game that's been on my mind for years, even 5 years later down the line till now.
Speaking on the nightmares part, I don't think I had nightmares. I remember there was one jump scare in the game that really stuck with me. It was the Yuri white eyes one, where if you skip it and the jump scares you with the white eyes. That scared the absolute fuck out of me because so for context, I was playing. My friend was behind me. He was playing Fortnite on my TV, right? I was playing Doki, and I look at him. and I look back and I see the white eyes, and when I get scared, I don't scream, I don't like jump. Well, I jump a little bit, but I just kind of freeze. So I saw it and I froze, and then like for the next 2 weeks, I would go right under the covers as I slept.
Like when I first, especially like after I first like experienced the game, I would think about like as a similar scene, except mostly when like it's all dark and she's looking at you with those real eyes. I was like, oh god, I could just like see that in my head. I was like,
Bro.
damn, it got me, bro.
Anything to add, George?
Believe it or not, I haven't actually played through the game.
Oh my god.
So most of my knowledge of the game comes from Duster, right? Because this game means a lot to him. So he would talk about it a lot. And that's not a bad thing, because I like listening to Duster speak. And he's very passionate about the game, so the way he articulates words. So I know a lot about this game because of Duster. And
Alright, George, your mic is low-key glitching.
You're going robo voice with it.
no, microphone. Wait, is it better, yes or no? Or is it just...
I think you're good now.
We're better now.
Sorry, I don't have the best internet at the moment.
It's okay.
But because of my good friend Duster, I know a lot about this game, and I've come to appreciate a lot of these characters because of it. And like I've looked into it myself a little bit, but it's not. I don't know the entirety of the game because I haven't played through it, and I don't know a majority about the side stories outside of some of the CGs that were posted online. But I've come to appreciate this game a lot because of Duster. I've grown fond of these characters as well.
Yeah.
I forced you to look at them for 3 years.
That's pretty cool. Okay, so that's the timeline stuff. But what we'll do, we'll just skim over this. So basically, it's like one big block. So first of all, question 2. So what led to the creation of Versus Monica, which was the original Versus 1 kind of build?
I guess it kind of goes back to what I would usually do back in the past, because I guess around the time when FF was still a thing, the main thing I would do was a lot of art of Monica as if she appeared in other games. So I would do like a lot of art style replication. And around the time when I was like looking into what Friday Night Funkin' was, it was around like, I think I first found out about it during like the week 2 introduction, and then I just kind of like casually enjoyed it. And then as I was like being a fan of it at the time, I was like, man, I would like to draw Monica in this game's art style at one point, but I guess I've never like had the immediate drive to do so and had other plans at the moment. But it wasn't until the week 6 drop where everything sort of aligned, because week 6 whole theme in the base game is dating sim goes wrong.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is my time, I gotta do this. Literally day 1 after that update dropped, I was already on it, just in my art program, sketching out like the rough sketch for how to draw Monica in this art style, and then basically next day I posted it.
And that was in the gallery of the mod. So Zach, be showing the sketch right here as I'm saying this, but that was the original sketch. You took reference from Senpai.
Yeah, I just basically tried my best to match Mulwing's art style. And then I got it all together in like a day, and then I threw it on Twitter, and then the post like blew up more than I expected, to the point where both Ninja Muffin and Mulwing both saw it and retweeted and commented. So I was like, amazing. Oh damn.
Yeah, cause that was like the early days when like they didn't have a lot of popularity, because I remember BB Panzer was talking about that as well.
Yeah, that was like super duper early. I think that was definitely like
when was that?
That was before Woody got his full week, but
that was
back when it was just like overhead. And then I think around that time, because that got as popular as it did, there's a lot of people being like, oh, we want to see like a mod of this now, because things like Woody were starting to get popular. So that's when I basically formed like a very small like group just to get like a song to go with it, and then I spent another day or 2 working on animations, and then from there we released the very first version of what this mod would become, which is it was just called Monica Over Senpai, and it just replaced the first song in week 6 with a new song in Monica. And then after you finish singing against her, like I just edited the dialogue for Senpai to be like, who the heck was that?
that was kind of like changed until like the actual week where like Senpai shows up and is like, what are you doing with that microphone, that kind of stuff.
That wasn't actually how basically the story went, because Monica basically disappeared after that first song, because I had no plans of what to do with that at the point, because I didn't think I was gonna do a lot more at the time. So at the time it was just Senpai showing up being like, where'd that hot chick go? And then you just go play Roses and Thorns, and then they play exactly the same.
That was the very first version. So question 4, what was sampled for the Monica chromatic?
The original mod track was sampled from one of the lyrics from Your Reality. I don't actually remember what it was, but it was just like a 1 byte sample from that chromatic, at least the really old one that we used back during that time.
Yeah. Because being honest, it was not the best kind of chromatic, and because it
Yeah,
was
no, it sucks.
an old one. I didn't want to like offend you in case like, oh, I like the chromatic. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
No, I know. I completely agree. I think the chromatic sucks for several reasons.
It's just 2021 FNF. It is like you look back on it and you like it. Then you made the next song. I think it was Paranoia Me. We'll get into that in a minute. And then Your Demise, which was the big song that everyone saw and was like, "Wow, look at this!" And so what was your reaction to like the Your Demise and just like overall mod just like blowing up?
I never actually anticipated it to go as far as it did because I feel like I occupy a very smaller section of the internet because I just make Doki content most of the time.
And do you still do that?
Yes. Even to this day, like literally right now, I'm also working on another general Doki art piece.
That's amazing.
I still like this game a lot, even after I've spent the whole year working on this project relating to it. I'm just like, I still want to draw these characters because they're great.
V1 was released in June 2021, I believe.
Yeah, it was sometime around then.
So when did the V2 start development, and how long did it take?
Version 2, which is like the main Doki Doki Takeover update where it became Doki Takeover, it started not too long after the rebooted version of the original Monica for Week started. Because especially as I was looking at the mod itself, because it's like, I was like, man, I think this is a good FNF mod, but it wasn't the ideal DDLC FNF mod I wanted to make because it felt more just like Week 6 featuring Monica, not so much like a Doki mod. So I wanted to find a way to like make it feel more like if we're actually celebrating the original game. So, and of course the biggest way to do that was introduce the rest of the club members. So that was something I already had in mind. Although the scale of which I was going to do that was a lot smaller because it was just going to be another week and then with 3 songs, 1 for each of the other members, and then that was going to be it.
Yeah, I think back then the main Euro song was Deep Breaths, I think.
So what ended up happening is as we were starting to prep, like getting things for another update, a lot of people I knew were kind of reaching out wanting to do something, and also I reached out to a lot of people because we needed to get 3 more musicians to cover the new songs. So then we started getting that all prepped. So we had like Matt Money, Sarky, Hypotheticals, and a bunch of other cool musicians I knew. And then from there, as we were working on that, more people were interested in hopping on and helping out in terms of music. And then from there, it's like, oh, we have more musicians now. There's a lot more ideas I want to kind of do here. So like one of the ideas was going to be, okay, now that we're musicians, we can do more than just 3 songs. So why don't we give Monica another song? Because since the mod's sort of about her before, we should give her another thing. And one of the things I wanted to do was have like a nice, cool like bonus song that like what you can get at the end because we do this a lot with our TBD mods where once you beat the mod, there's like the secret song at the end. We've done that like several times with Takeover. Don't have any plans on stopping doing that because it's fun to do. And that plan ended up becoming the base idea for Epiphany, which ended up being one of the first songs actually done for Doki Takeover. For there we got more musicians, so then the plans changed from, okay, now instead of just having 1 song for each of the Dokis, we have 2 songs now, so every girl now has 2. And then Monica got another song, and then everything just started kind of just like
3 songs, yeah.
And then everything, eventually it became 3 songs because when I pitched the idea of having some cover songs in the mod, then every girl basically got 3, and then that became the update. I was like, we went from just like wanting to do only 3, and then we got so many. So we had like 10 plus songs in that update, which was crazy.
So you've looked over this, so that seems fine. I think this was after rebooted. I can't remember exactly when, but this was the Barano Yumi drama. Would you mind explaining that, if that's okay? You can skip it if you want to.
I don't mind talking about any sort of drama relating to the mod, because there is quite a bit. We've had quite a bit of bad eggs that we had to get rid of, so the mod had kind of changed a lot since then, to the point where it's like, the original Monica Full Week that we released like 2 years ago it's almost like feels like a forbidden mod because basically every song from that mod we can't use anymore because the people behind it were not very good. But the first instance of that was the case of the original first song in the mod, which was called Dreams of Roses.
Okay.
Which the composer for it was someone I knew for a while before FNF on the internet, who I basically commissioned to make that song because I could not find another musician at the time. And then they did, and it ended up becoming the most popular song in that week, surprisingly. A little after the original Monica Full Week had been released, I ended up getting like a random DM from someone that knew the composer of that song in person, and someone who was in a relationship with them, and basically saying like, oh yeah, they were not. I don't want to get like too specific in details of that kind of stuff, but basically, yeah, they're saying they did not treat them well in this relationship, and like in an abusive sense. Basically, we're asking to get rid of their stuff from the mod, and I had to like and acknowledge what they did, which was the most like stressful week of my life to have to do that.
No, I'm sorry for that.
Yeah, it's so basically literally after 1 week after we released this thing we worked on a lot, we had to take the mod down because we had to get rid of that second song. Yeah, it was literally the original Monica Full Week only existed for a week before we had to remove it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That was a very stressful thing to deal with. So then it became a matter of scrambling to find like, okay, what do we do now to basically just like fix it? Because now I need a new second song. So that's when I was introduced to our still running musicians in TBD, Kyrie, who at the time was known as Calionic. At the time, like, we didn't really know each other at all. I'd like just met them, and they were not very familiar with DDLC at all. So I had to we had to try our best to figure out like, okay, how we're going to approach replacing this song. And it was a bit of a process because they didn't know exactly where to go with the new version because they don't know source material. So the original, like, very first versions of what would become the new version of Dreams of Roses being Baron no Yume, it basically sounded like stereotypical Sonic Genesis music, which is not fitting whatsoever, and I'm very glad we didn't go that route.
Do you have any clips to show us for the video?
I do not. Those are from 2 years ago in varied group chats.
Yeah, man.
I think the old group chat has it still. I could probably find one.
I don't know if I'm in that group chat anymore. That's the thing.
No, you are. I'll post it while you guys keep talking about this stuff.
I might just ask Kai, just in case, if we can post what the really old version sounds, because Kai might be like, no, that sounds like trash.
We'll put that back to the saying that was from 2 years ago, by the way.
Yeah, that was this from way long ago.
Yeah.
After a lot of attempts at workshopping, because at the time we did not have a dev server for the team. We were basically just talking in a bunch of group chats to get this all set up, and so it was a bit of a mess. After a lot of trial and error, we finally got something that worked enough. So then we eventually were able to add that to the mod rechart, and then had a few other small things that we wanted to do in the original full week that we couldn't because of time constraints.
Yeah.
And then we released the mod, and of course, that one song everyone liked is now gone, and the replacement was just pretty okay at the time. So, but it's like, what can we do about it?
Yeah.
So, luckily, some people still like the new song. Things were fine, but it's definitely a bit annoying to have to deal with people constantly being like, this version of the song sucks. It's like, I don't care. I had to go through a lot just to get this mod back. But once I was back, my me plan is like, okay, how do we expand on this? Because now I want to try and do more with this idea we'd started.
And just moving on from that, what was in V2, which would you consider? Yeah, I consider V2 like the Doki Doki Takeover, before Plus. So I'll just do that. But what was the engine you used for that?
I would like to answer this, George.
Oh, absolutely. All right, so the original Monica Full Week used Kate Engine because that was the engine at the time. This was before Psych Engine, before all those fancy engines that everyone uses now. And then V2, I didn't want to rewrite a majority of the code just to put it on a new engine, just for it to be exactly the same. So I kept using Kate Engine, and the original version of V2, which is just Doki Doki Takeover, it's still Kate Engine.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of jankiness because of that. Oh, bye-bye.
Rip.
There's a lot of jankiness for that, but it's just Kate Engine. It's all there is to it.
Yeah, we'll get into the Hue engine later on.
Good.
Yes, what was your reaction to the success of V2?
It was freaking crazy.
It's
I thought the reaction to her like just mock full week was crazy, but then seeing everyone try out like this new version with everything we did, especially because we put so much more like time and care into making it what it is, it was like Jesus Christ. Like I was seeing that like that community game video have like over 5 million views. I was like it reached a point where it was so popular that like I kind of started to not recognize my own work in it because like I'd see those sprites that I did for that mod in other places, and I'm like I've seen them in so many places that aren't like my own space that it felt like, did I make that?
Just skip ahead for question 11 just while we're here. Yeah, what did you think about all the Doki Doki Takeover fan content, mainly with Monica in it? Because I know there was back then there was all like, the characters swapping in for a song, like what was it, like the beta DCU is whatever it's called, with Monica, and then like there was the EXE Monica mod, specifically the one I remember what listing was the like the Fleetway Monica thing.
I'm very happy that people want that this mod exists and it had inspired people to want to like make more of it because like we basically wrapped up what we're doing with this project. Obviously people still love what we do, so they want to have more of it, and I think people taking the initiative to just like take something like I started and then want to do more with it because they really liked what we did and then want to put their own spin on something, I think is like nice, which is why we make everything with this mod so open source to people so that you can just use whatever you want from it. And it's like, so I'm happy to allow everyone to just do whatever. So it's like, oh, you want to use like a song from our mod in your Roblox FNF game, like sure. Or if you want to just have Monica show up in your mod and want to use like the sprites and the chromatics and all that, it's like we're all cool with that.
Yeah,
even things like I'm not even like the biggest fan of, because like you brought up the EXE variant of Monica stuff, which I have actively stated how much I don't like those on my own Twitter. Because if you know me, I am not an EXE fan of anything. So a lot of it is like the Sonic stuff, and I'm already just not a Sonic fan in general. So it's just like two things that already don't appeal to me, and then taking up a majority of the community space.
It's super rare for an FNF fan to not be into Sonic.
George is though, but I'm not.
I am the same.
But obviously, it's like I'm not gonna tell people not to make things they don't want to make, even if it's something based on something I did and I don't like it. I'm not gonna just take the tools away from them because it's kind of shitty.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, I won't be like all clear whether I like something or not. But at least unless if it's not particularly harming anyone, which those things don't, then I'm not upset with them just like doing that stuff with my content we have made on the team. But I really do like in general that people want to do more with the things we started, so it makes me happy to see that we have like people making like remixes and fan songs and like all the fan art, and I love like retweeting all the fan art because it makes me very happy.
This isn't really fan content, it's more of a collab, but there was a hotline, there was Monica, it was Monica, Yuri, and I forgot her name. Niku, sorry. Yeah, Monica, Yuri, and Niku.
Yeah, since Sariki had composed 2 songs that appeared in Doki Doki Takeover, being Yuri song Deep Breaths, and but even before Takeover was out, Sariki made their own Takeover fan song, Poems and Thorns, that we really liked, so we included it in Takeover as a bonus song.
Yeah.
So because they were the composer of both those songs, when they were working on their own mod Hotline, they wanted to do a song that was a combination of those two with Monica and Yuri against Niku, and I was very much excited to have that idea be turned real, and I really like how that turned out. And I guess a fun fact about Deep Poems Friend Hotline is that I was originally going to do the Monica and Yuri sprites for that song, but it was during a time where I was really occupied with a lot of life stuff, so I think 4 was the one who did those sprites, and they came out instead, and they came out really good. Shoutouts to them for doing the really good art.
Anyway, so moving on. So when did VC it? Jesus Christ, I cannot speak. When
VC started now.
When did V3 start development? How long did it take?
I think the V3, which is Doki Doki Takeover Plus, started not very long after the release of the original Doki Takeover. Because I know
you've just been at it the whole time then.
I know that basically right as Doki Takeover was released, what had happened was two of our musicians, Kai and Matt, were still making their own like songs with the Doki chromatics, and specifically they both wanted to make like spookier songs with them.
Yeah.
Because we only really had one sort of spooky song, if you don't count Epiphany, which was Obsession. So they wanted to try experimenting with more stuff like that. And I really liked what they were doing. So that's when I pitched taking those concepts and basically making a whole side mod around it, since we didn't get to do too much horror stuff in the main mod, because at least when I came to making Takeover, as someone who really likes as someone who is weird and whose favorite part of original DDLC is Act 1, which is the not spooky part.
Yeah.
Like, that's becomes very clear. That's the case when you look at how Takeover is as a mod. So we didn't get to do too much of the horror stuff, but I wanted to do that because obviously people like that aspect, a lot of it, and I also do too. So that became the basis for what would eventually become a Doki Takeover bad ending.
When did Takeover Plus come in? How long did that take, and when did that start?
Doki Takeover Plus took a little over a year to finish, because of how many little small things sort of got in the way, and a few things were kind of set back and things like that. Yeah, so it released back in, what was it? I think it was March of this year.
Yeah,
and then I don't even remember when. I think Doki Takeover, the original, came out like, I think it was 2020. Maybe was it 2021, George?
I think it was like end of 2021.
Yeah, it was like late September when I think it dropped.
Because I remember specifically because you wanted to see if we can get try getting Plus out last year, but we couldn't because of unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah.
So we took a month off, and then we took a break because of that. We took the entire December off, and then we picked back up back in January, and that's when like a lot of stuff happened immediately.
So we were at it for quite a long time. I guess the progress took longer because we were also balancing like bad ending on top of it, so we're sort of working on two mods. And then since Takeover dropped, we've had more projects FNF related that we were also working on simultaneously. So that kind of influenced us taking a bit. And at the time now, everyone else is a lot of big mods existing. So a lot of people on the team are also working on other things as well. So I guess it's a lot of time divided to do different things and things like that. But eventually we managed to get everything squared away and then figured out to release back in March.
So moving on from that, so that as the timeline stuff's done, thank God, and we are now moving on to the Plus, which is a huge part of this interview. A lot are going to be story based because I think the story is a really good part of the mod. I don't see a lot of good story mods, maybe like Darcello and this and Fever. I wouldn't mind interviewing Fever. So moving on to question 12. Now people can get piece this together when they're actually playing the mod, but just for clarity's sake, where does the mod take place in terms of the DDLC story?
So I mentioned this always in like when you first boot up the mod, because you always have like that little message in the beginning where it says like welcome back or this, and we're there. That's when we basically established that Doki Takeover Plus the story takes place basically right as Monica would have been deleted in the original game during Act 3, except instead of her just ending up being completely gone, she's now in this completely new video game instead, and then it goes from there.
Yeah. Question 13. So how was each Doki chromatic made? So these are the new ones, and not like that's not the old, because we're going to discuss the old one with sampling from the song at the end of the game, but how is each of the new ones done?
So back during the original Doki Takeover original update, we needed chromatics for all the new characters, so we needed to get more people. And I guess then since all three of them did not have a voice, Monica at least had a voice to sample from, but the rest of them didn't. So what we ended up doing was we basically had a casting call to find the chromatics for each of the characters, at least people voice them. And originally the plan was only to get just voices for like Siri, Natsuki and Yuri because that's all we need at the time. Because my thought is, okay, if we do more Monica stuff, we can just use Monica's old chromatic.
Yeah.
But in the process of trying to, because we had a different person basically as the one reaching out holding the voice casting, they ended up getting 4 people because they thought that we were going to need a new Monica voice, which at the time was like, oh, we didn't think we needed that. So the people we got were Miss Beepy, who voices Natsuki, Logan Digma, who voices Yuri, Phoebe, who voices Sayori, and then the person we got on time on accident, not knowing that if we were even going to use her or not, was Caramel, or Esther Cristo as Monica.
Yeah,
And
I think they all did really good performances, so that's all for them.
so at the time, we didn't even think what we were going to use, like, to have Esther do anything, because we didn't know what the plan was at the time, but after she recorded a new chromatic and it sounded infinitely better than the old one, we're just like, actually, I think we should fizzle out the old one as much as we can. So the story justification at the time was just, oh, when she's in the little pixel world, she has the old chromatic, but when she's finally comes back and she's in like the regular 2D art style instead of the pixel art style, she gets like a full voice. So that was the story justification at the time, and I think it was a better transition to show like, oh yeah, this is how she should sound now. And I think Esther Cristo in general just nails the voice for Monica in general. So that new chromatic is like still one of my favorite chromatics in FNF because just how good it sounds, and also just how like much it feels like Monica's voice, which is I'm very picky when it comes to these characters a lot. Like I will nitpick the shit out of like a lot of things when it comes to them. So having this voice and this chromatic for her feels very authentic. It was something I'm very happy about. I'm glad that we did end up bringing her on because she's been like, very great to work with. So the point where we have her like on the team working on other things as a voice, because one of our other mods that we do at Team TBD, which is versus Toyota, which is an OC mod, we also has Esther Cristo voicing the main character Toyota. So shout outs to all the VAs because they do a lot of really good stuff.
I agree. So moving on, so question 14, when you were moving on to Doki Doki Takeover Plus, so what was the most obvious asset that needed remade? So this is each type, so that's just song, that's just art, this is code.
At least at the time when we were planning like what exactly would be featured in this update, I know there's a lot of things that definitely felt very like, I guess, outdated to me at the time because it's been like a while since the original update, and a lot of it came from wanting to do like smaller little flourishes and things like that, just to add the smaller details. So like things like, oh, we have our own custom note splashes now, and we have a new pause menu that's based on the original game, and all these little things. And then we have a revised revised story mode menu and all these other little things. And in terms of things I wanted to fully redo, one of the things I definitely wanted to redo was a lot of things relating to Epiphany, because especially when I look back on how that song looked in the original Takeover, it looks very like primitive. Like the background looked kind of like flat. Monica's sprites in general weren't as clean as I'd like them to, so I spent a lot of time basically redrawing a lot of the assets to make them look a lot cleaner and nicer. So like giving her like highlights and stuff like that, and then redoing like how her eyes look just to make sure it looked the way I wanted it to. And then I was very happy with how that turned out in terms of redoing things. And then there wasn't too much redone for the original character sprites. Actually, the one thing it was redone was Boyfriend, because at the time I just kind of was like autopiloted a lot with drawing certain assets. So what I didn't realize is that I gave Boyfriend a ribbon on his uniform, which is not part of the male uniform because they wear ties instead of ribbons. So he had a ribbon for the entirety of the original Takeover. So I had to go in and edit every single asset of his to replace his ribbon with a tie for Takeover Plus.
You're really going for that trans boyfriend headcanon, which I respect.
I mean, it can be whatever you want to people. I kind of was like, I was just thought about it. It was like bothering me personally, especially because Plus introduces Protag as like an actual like more focused character instead of just a smaller cameo in the original Plus.
Yeah.
So and he has the tie, so it felt really weird that he has it, and then BF does not. So I was like, okay, I need to fix that. And then
it would be kind of funny if that actually did get into the game, but I do understand why you did that. So that's fair enough. So what about the songs?
I don't really run too much on the philosophy that songs constantly need to be redone for mods if they're already good. Just like the way I felt about basically most of the things from the original Takeover updates, everything was still good enough. Do we need to really replace anything? Like, I feel like something might be lost if we try to fix things, and I feel like that would just also eat up a lot of dev time, and it just didn't feel necessary to have to go back and redo a lot. And that was going to be the plan for basically all the stuff that wasn't like intrinsically new content. Although the one thing that did end up occurring is that we would have to go back and basically replace the entire original Pixel Week, because that's when new drama sparked, and now we had to go replace all that stuff. But ultimately, I think that was for the better, because then we got to redo that whole Pixel Week and then make every song in that week so much better now, because the original songs were very dated and also still use the old chromatic. So it finally gives an opportunity to get rid of that old chromatic for good, which I'm very happy about.
That's remember when I first played the new build, or the new version. Sorry, I came out and like the whole thing was redone. And I'm like, whoa, this looks so cool! The new chromatic, new song, new art, and I'm like, oh, this is amazing. So I remember going through that, having a good time. So yeah, I certainly understand. Oh, what about the code? Any like, I mean, that's a very broad question, because you probably say like a bunch of things, but any part of the code, George, that like you're like have to like, oh no, I need to redo this.
So we can also like include the like Hua engine thing as well while we're here. So it's still Kate engine, but it's with Hua engine. We wanted to improve upon base Kate engine, and take stuff from other engines that existed at the time. So if you were to look into the files, you'd see character JSONs now, and those character JSONs basically have all the characters' code and how they work on stages, basically.
Yeah.
And basically, I wanted to make it so that a lot of the stuff was as modular as possible, so that we don't have to keep rewriting code every 3 seconds if there's a bug or if there's an issue with this thing. The only thing that's still hard coded is events, because I don't want to have to put me or the only other coder in the mod through the hassle of implementing events into this older engine. But a lot of it's very modular, and this is not only for me to like work on the editing stuff, but also helps Duster because he has a way of writing things, and he has a way of wanting things to be planned out. So for example, the entirety of the credits menu is all modular, so you can edit it without having to edit the code itself, basically. So a lot of the code, it's a very broad question, but a lot of the code was basically redone, so it's not only modular but also more optimized for people with like on the weaker side of computers to be able to enjoy the mod as much as they can.
Yeah. I think that'll do it for that question.
Actually, before we actually leave that point, George, did you want to explain where Hua comes from?
So to explain Hua, right? I'm before I did FNF modding, I modded a lot of other games, being Smash Bros. And then on top of that, Hat in Time. And I have like a little Hat in Time circle of friends I talk to. And Hua specifically comes from that community. But I started using it as normal lingo. Like say you just say lol for no reason as an example. I would put Hue, and it became so intrinsically tied with me where I'd start putting it in things. So and I think I've unfortunately affected Duster with this as well.
Oh, I do all the time. I always just say like Hue.
Thing is, I completely fucking whitewashed that. I went Hugh, and I'm like, oh Christ.
No, it's fine, but like so now it's just a thing that gets put into like projects that I work on, or projects or things that Duster do, I would assume. So it's just it's amazing.
In our team server, we have Hue emotes for almost every character in any mod we've made.
I just see you typing, so I'm probably gonna see these.
Gotta grab all of. Alright, where's fucking. We can keep talking while we go through this.
God,
but like when it comes to like the engine, like the Hua engine is in a sense sort of like a Frankenstein of a whole lot of things we just liked from other engines on top of our own like improvements. So like it's still got some Kate in it. There's a little bit of Psych, a little bit of FPS plus, and then another big thing we pulled from is one of the mods that like mod teams that we're very buddy with is the people behind the Hololive FNF mod Holofunk, and they do a lot of crazy like optimized coding work on their projects. So they helped us out by giving us a lot of their really optimized code to use for some of our stuff.
All right.
Yeah,
that's really cool then. Do you want to move on, or do you want me to see these emotes first?
Well, I'm trying to grab all like the major ones.
Oh my god.
We have a lot of them.
Zach, for this video, please bring up please bring up some of the emotes for context.
Where's I just realized we never made Libitina, but I gotta fix that soon.
Oh my god.
And fucking where's Pro Tag? There you are. Thing is, yeah, if you in the mod, like,
what is this, man?
yeah, like in the mod, every time the Hue engine pops up, you get a very random Hue, including
oh my god, yeah, I thought it was Hugh. No, I misread it as Hue.
including our team mascot that has a chance of showing up.
Bad. Oh my god. Anyway, moving on. Wait, hold on. Wait, is there not sweet, sour, eerie? Okay, yeah, Monica. Okay, Monica's one's there. Thank God.
Monaco's the original one that I didn't even make as for FNF stuff. I just made it for fun.
So moving on. Oh shit. Whoopsies. So question 15. What was the hardest asset to make? So this is art, code, music, that kind of stuff.
I think in terms of art, so like there's obviously a lot that had to be done in terms of art. So there's a lot of different things that were difficult for various reasons. And like, so that's why a lot of the art was passed between a bunch of different artists. So I don't take credit for a lot of especially this new stuff in Plus, because we brought in a lot of new people. And I think definitely one of the most complicated things in terms of like spriting was the sprites of Libitina for our secret final song.
Yes.
Which we brought in a Geeko to do, and they did an amazing job on those. But it's like that, especially that those sprites were done in a style that was very much not FNF, and of this like very real creepy looking person. So like it took a lot of time, and also Geeko was kind of busy, so it took a bit. But then we finally got it all done after some time in deliberation, because we had to deliberate on like how does this character look in this style, and then going through a lot of revisions on how we even approach how these sprites look. And there's a lot of ideas that end up being like scrapped and that we didn't do. Like at one point there's consideration of just like 3D modeling the character and then animating it that way, because George is a 3D modeler and animator, so that was one thing we considered doing. But then I feel like that wasn't going to work that well. And another thing that I was going to do was basically hand paint the assets, so basically make them match how the original like secret image and the original game looked.
Yeah.
So like I basically sat down a second, tried my hand at like recreating how the original image looked in my own art program, and it came out pretty decent. But I realized, yeah, this is going to be a nightmare if I wanted to actually like make a whole sprite sheet of this, so I didn't do that. So we went with still the cel shade style with a lot of detail, because the character had a lot of detail, especially in the hair. Also, I have the image of, I don't think I've ever posted it anywhere before, of the original image of like the Libitina character with my attempt to like repaint it on the right.
I thought it was like 1-to-1 identical. I don't know what you're talking about. I did do a double take, and which one was like which?
The original one on the left is original, and the one on the right is me trying to like recreate it. Obviously, I can very clearly see the differences, but like, you know, but I didn't.
Okay, yeah, I can see it a bit more now in terms of the face and stuff like that. But I think that's really good though.
So that was something I was going to do at first, but I was like, I'm not suffering through that, so
yeah,
we can't compromise in getting original sprites, but then like just stylizing them in a way that was manageable, but still keeping a lot of the detail, because we want this character to look like they didn't belong.
Yeah. Actually, while we're here, actually, because I've been out of the loop for quite a while. Last time I watched it was like a Matt Pat's video on it, but this is just my extra little thing. Who is Libitina? Could you go into that a bit more?
I would love to answer the question. The problem is we don't know.
Like, do you not know either?
Everything around this, the character and everything revolving around Project Libitina in general is like vague and just like, you know, like comes in very small pieces throughout like the original DDLC and also some snippets in DDLC Plus, because we don't know and have a clear idea of what any of this is. And I personally would not recommend any MatPat videos on anything DDLC related. I could easily rant about how much I don't like those videos, but that's a different kind of conversation.
Are there any other videos you'd recommend?
And not really, because like I said, it's just too vague. But basically the way I wanted to approach doing this stuff in Takeover is basically taking what we do have as like pieces of little things, even if they weren't like directly tied to Libitina in general, I just want to take all the secret, very deep hidden stuff in Takeover, and not Takeover, but DDLC, and then kind of like in my own interpretation find a way to piece all that together, because there's a lot of like so much hidden stuff relating to in the games that could be Project Libertine related, it could not be, but I wanted to like have a song that kind of like pulls all that together. So having a song about like the ghost lady that shows up in Natsuki's character file, and then you see all these other visual pop-ups that come about. So basically, the narration I kind of went for the mod is that like ghostly looking ladies trapped within like this project, and the song is basically her trying to communicate with you. And at the very end, when it says like access granted, you get a small glimpse into what hypothetically that world looks like. So it's just her singing on her own very solemnly, and then you see a bunch of like people show up basically trying to take her away, and then the whole third eye thing activates, and then it closes because it's like, oh, you weren't supposed to see any of that. So we don't really know what Libertine is. This is just how I want interpreted, taking a bunch of what we have and then making something cool out of it.
So what about the music and code then?
I'll let George answer the question, but for music, I think there's definitely a few instances, and one of them also ties into coding, because we had once the credit song, the Takeover medley, was a collaboration between 6 different musicians on the team, because each musician handled a different character's section.
Yeah.
So like High Powered Keys handled Pixel Monica, Stardust Tunes handled Sayori, Kai handled Natsuki, BP and Kai handled Yuri, Haruka and handled, Protag, and then Dat Davy came back roundabout to end it with the regular Monica at the end. Because we had to make a song that was a combination of every single song in the story mode, which is already a challenge because there's a lot, and then also having everyone like kind of collaborate and get together to finish this project and like pass things off between different people, which is a bit of a challenge. And there were certain people that we wanted to get to do sections in the song, but then got too busy. So I think both Matt Money and DPZ were originally slated to do sections of the medley, but then they weren't able to. So we had to go and find like other musicians on the team. It took a bit of time to get that done. But when it all came together and we all put it together in game with all the assets in the chart, it came out like really nice. I'm happy that we got the story mode of the mod gets to end off with this really nice send off to basically every single piece of the mod. And then the other most difficult thing I'd say was the song right before that, which is You and Me. Because the idea we had for that song was a song that basically I want that song to basically feel like solely DDLC. Like if you play as Protag and then like no boyfriend or girlfriend anywhere in sight for the whole part. Yeah. And I think the way to approach that, especially because with my rule with stuff for this mod is that we can't really play favorites too much on anything, with the exception being Monica, since she's sort of the poster girl of Doki. But it's a case of, if Natsuki gets a song, then Sayori and Yuri also need to get a song, so we can't let any of those 3 have any sort of more bias towards content they get. And especially when it comes to stuff with Protag, like, obviously people want a song where they can play as him, but that leads to the problem of we can't just, like, have only a Protag and Sayori song, because then people were like, oh, are you trying to push Protag and Sayori as the canon thing? Which is, becomes an issue, because obviously we're not trying to do that. So the only solution was make a song that lets you sing against all 4 of them. Yeah. So that was a challenge, both from a musical standpoint and also a programming standpoint.
It was really impressive though. That's the thing. So it really paid off. I was super impressed when that happened.
Yeah, so like it's big shout outs to Arca and HBK who made that song happen and basically took everything we wanted to do with it and to make it and fully realize it, because we wanted, especially because it was like the ending song, we wanted to make it sound like the most like anime ending ass thing ever. So we paired that with like the visuals that for the background with all like the sun and the sky in the back and all those things. And then they managed to prep 4 different versions of this song together to make that whole thing happen. So definitely it was one of the harder things music wise. And then George can explain how hard it was programming wise.
So obviously, because we're working with this outdated engine, there's a lot of things that are kind of like something we just don't touch because there's no reason to touch it. But because of You and Me, we had to edit how charts load. And obviously it looks for that file, it loads it in, and that's it. But now we had to make it so that it loads in modularly. I can't say that word for some reason. Now we have to load it in the middle of a song, and on top of that, have a selection window that not only is properly timed, but wouldn't allow the game to like jump cut and accidentally make the player or the opponent miss notes. So luckily, with how the song was composed, we were allowed to do that with no issues whatsoever.
Yeah.
But coding it took a little bit because there were some snags here and there because of coding it together, because if you make it end too late, you could probably have input something and then have the song load in late for the opponent or player side, and then you just randomly start hearing vocals without any build up to it. So once that was all fixed up, it took, even like at the very end of development, we kept finding bugs with that song. But at the end of the day, we did manage to get everything working, and I'm very grateful to have fixed that up and have especially help with the coder Eminem. Like I'm grateful to have them as like the coder to help us with stuff. Sorry, I hit my table.
Yeah, it's okay. So, this is a question for I've written it as for Duster Blaster, but how hard was it making all of like the Doki sprites?
It was a bit of a process, especially during the original Takeover, because I had no familiarity whatsoever with Adobe Animate at the time. I just knew it as the program people used to make sprites. And especially on my like very old computer, it did not handle that program very well because it was very laggy. So trying to draw directly in it felt like a nightmare. So my process was drawing all the sprites in my go-to art program, which is Paint Tool Sci 2, because it's what I basically just use for everything. And then that's where I drew every single like individual asset in that program because I couldn't do it in Animate. And then I would take the pieces of it from what I drew in Sci and then export them and then re-import them into Animate, where I'd reassemble them and then animate them in there from there, which was a very kind of tedious process, especially because I did it for like 5 different characters. Because like all the main Dokis have it like that. Protect asset, and then so does Epiphany Monica, and then even Boyfriend at the time before the Plus update came, where I basically redid a lot of his stuff in Animate now that my computer is better. But it was a bit of a struggle to do that. But I guess it wasn't too bad considering I managed to get it done as someone who has issues getting shit done.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
So moving on, so that's question 17. That we're gonna get into generic questions, but they do make for some interesting answers. But for both of you, what's your favorite week in the mod?
As the director, I have a hard time choosing what my favorite thing of this mod is, because it's just like there's something I appreciate about every single little aspect of it. So it's like I can't narrow it down to an absolute favorite. I definitely think the new stuff we did in the Plus update is some of our best work. It's like I guess I could say like the Encore week or like the side stories are my favorite, but I guess I really can't narrow it down to like a prime favorite, because I guess we had so much of a hand in just doing every little part of it. So every part, like there's something special about it that I'm like, man, I can't just like figure out which one I like the best.
So your answer is just like don't know.
Yeah, I can't. I don't know, especially considering that like I like feel like biased because now all my friends worked on this mod, and I'm very happy that it's like we have a team where everyone's just really buddy and chill each other as friends, and not just we're working on things together. So it's like I would feel even more bad about trying to narrow it down, which is like my all-time favorite.
You got one, George?
I don't either.
Oh my god. Fine, fair enough. I think my favorite, I'm gonna say, I'm not gonna count the bad ending. I'd probably say the Pixel week, because I really like how that was handled, especially the first song, and how much of an upgrade that is from the original. It's kind of like nostalgia based, but I still do love the new Pixel songs.
Yeah, I think those definitely some like the later songs in development, because the decision to redo the whole week came a lot later in the fucking development. So definitely all of that work was done like beginning of this year around January, where we got all the Pixel stuff all redone. So like it's our most recent work for a lot of our team, and then so we had a lot more experiences doing it, and it all came out very nice.
So, considering that the answer there of like can't pick favorites, I'm gonna assume you can't pick a favorite song.
I feel like I might be able to, but if George has an answer first, I will consider.
I love all the music in this mod, but at least for me, if I had to pick a favorite, I'm forced to at gunpoint, right? It's
Do it for content, George.
It's Wilted for me. I love Wilted. It's one of the songs I replay the most when I open Takeover.
Yeah, it's definitely like I'd say it's. I think it was one. It might have been one of the first few songs. Actually, no, it was the new High School Conflict was the one that hit 100K views first of the new songs. And I think Wilted was the second one. Tarka just like took sweep with everything. They did the new update. I think for me, it might be. For me, it's sort of a toss-up between, I'd say, the three songs being Your Demise, Our Harmony, and Libitina. Because like I think with those three it just had like so much like I guess there's a lot of time spent in making those really good, and then especially with all those songs there's so much like things that worked out really well, especially with like Libitina, because we spent so long on that song because I wanted it to be like this really grandiose like final ending to this mod, and I wanted it to be weird. I wanted it to be like something that felt like it didn't belong, but also because it felt like it didn't belong, it felt so much cooler just to have all these things. I want that whole experience to feel like it was like from a completely different mod, to just sort of emphasize the point that like it's this weird entity that exists in this cutesy rhythm game.
Could you pick, George?
With what?
Your favorite song?
He said I Wilted.
Yeah, I said Wilted.
I spaced out. Sorry then. All right, fantastic,
right.
man. Fantastic. I'm sorry. Question 19. So continuing this, I'm pretty sure you wrote a dialogue, Duster. Most of the
Yes,
dialogue.
all the story and dialogue in Doki Takeover is all written by me.
For the both of you, what's your favorite piece of dialogue? So like favorite like part like between songs.
There is so much friggin' dialogue, especially because, like, oh god, I spent so much on this, because especially I had to put a lot of time into the new dialogue I had wrote for Takeover Plus, specifically, because for the original Doki Takeover, a lot of it was, like, just the Dokis interacting with boyfriend and girlfriend. And they, because of how I write them, like they don't really say anything. This boyfriend goes boop boop boop, and then girlfriend does funny gestures. Because like there really is not much to pull from for their characters, especially at the time of writing that. Because a lot of those comics did not exist, and all those things that show like what their like character outside the filter of the game is, and all of that is also just outside media. So that's how they're written. So there was just a lot of the Dokis interacting with that. So there wasn't, and it had to be too deep with it. Especially because with the context just being a rhythm game, that's what people are primarily here for. I don't want to hold people too long with dialogue, but with Takeover Plus, with a lot of the new content not even featuring boyfriend or girlfriend in it, I wanted to like, it meant that a lot of the dialogue is going to feature just the Dokis talking to each other. So basically I'm running this as if I'm just writing like a fan fiction between these characters, which I guess Doki Takeover in the whole is basically just a whole big fan fiction.
Yeah.
But I wanted to make sure it had to take extra time to make sure every character felt like themselves, because I like how these characters are just in general. So I want to make sure I'm doing all of them justice and making sure everything feels in line, especially in terms of with the case of Monica with this week, because like for everyone who knows me knows Monica is not only my favorite Doki, but just one of my favorite characters in just like fiction in general. And she's also the kind of character
you just crossed over another question.
It's relevant, so yeah. But everyone who knows me knows I love Monica as a character a lot.
To be fair, it's pretty obvious. I think how with like her and like your banner and that kind of stuff. So I'm like, fair enough.
I have a mighty obsession with this character, but she's also the kind of character that like obviously she's sort of has a bit of an antagonistic role in her original game, so people will kind of like treat her antagonistically and think she's like this huge villain who like, oh, I wanted to kill my friends, I'm so bad, which is not at all how I see her. So with this mod, I wanted to, especially with how I write Monica, I wanted to make it clear that she is not like this terrible person. She cares about her friends, and when things start going wrong, like she wants to make sure everyone's okay. And even though she has like this crazy like self-aware like fourth wall breaky coding power. Like she's not very good at, but she's trying her best to make sure everyone doesn't fall to her same mistakes again. Where she sort of kind of realizes after she almost does the same exact shit when she enters the hating sim, and then realizes like, yeah, I need to not to kind of do this. And then if I want to make sure all my friends are all good, and all the people around me are good, I gotta stop that. So like when it came, I just had to make sure that like she was not just like written as like this cruel person, because she's not that. And thankfully with how the story's written, it allows me to basically give her the happy ending I want her to have, because it's basically her whole story is about her basically getting a second chance.
Yeah. So would you say more like the better, like your more favorite piece of dialogue was the one where Monica actually is shown to be nicer and or get a second chance?
Yeah, I think I like a lot of the dialogue, especially in the encore week, because I wanted all the characters obviously to have a reason just to talk to her, because now it's basically she has a second chance now and things are good. Because the original like Doki and like the bad stuff happens before like the festival kicks in, but in the DTO timeline, like they got to do the festival and it went great, and now things are continuing from there all nicely.
Yes,
so I wanted to make sure. So it's like, okay, what do you continue from there? Obviously, each club member still is having some issues with things, and so but now Monica can sort of talk to them more about it now that things aren't going to end up in like crazy scary nightmare. So I'm glad people really like that, because like wanted to make it, gave me warm fuzzies being able to write everything happy and nice.
Yeah, honestly, I thought it was like too wholesome at sometimes. It's obviously no fault of viewers. That's just what everyone thinks. And it's like, wow, this is extremely wholesome. When does one of them die?
I didn't want they're not letting them die. If you want the sad ending, you could play bad ending where things go completely wrong.
We'll leave that for later. Don't ruin any more of the order, please. So question 30. Was anything leaked in any of the versions?
Oh boy! Now this is something we've got a bit on, because yes,
another 10-minute question incoming.
I'm sorry. With this we have quite a bit, because we have quite a lot of like things relating to people leaking stuff, and I think
Zach, I apologize in advance. I'm so sorry, man.
I'm sorry. We like talking about the things we worked on, because we just have a lot of.
It's just a lot of talking, and it's like we're at an hour and 11 minutes of footage. That's gonna be a fucking long one, but honestly, just go ahead. I don't mind.
If we're talking a bit too much, I apologize.
It's fine. It's fine. I don't want to rush you. I don't want to rush you.
I like being able to talk about all new stuff, but I won't go into the conversation so it takes too much longer. So basically, when it came to stuff leaking from this mod, the biggest like time there was something that had been leaked was back during when Takeover Plus was happening, and then around the time where one of the very first original members of the Takeover team, which was Lei, who was composed of the original High School Conflict and Your Demise, like me and another person who was in a relationship with her at the time, like basically we wrote a doc on things she had done, because we had a lot of issues of misconduct that had gone unchecked, and we also just had a lot of issues with her in general. And so we basically had to release a doc on this person and completely get rid of them from everything we've done. And because at that point, because of the original Takeover mod giving her so much popularity on the internet, and then having now something that taken away, they kind of started throwing fits and then getting mad at everyone for acting like, oh, even though we're just trying to make sure people are aware of like this is what is happening, and then we don't want this kind of person to have a platform with what we're doing. So in the midst of them trying to make some argument on Twitter and some long thread of them trying to say like, oh, like y'all are trying to frame me, they thought to justify their point, they ended it off with a link to an old build of Doki Takeover Plus as a leak, because they used to play test for our mod, even though it didn't really make sense for them to do that, considering they basically didn't do shit for Plus and barely did anything for Takeover, the original update before that. They just wanted to feel important for this team. So they ended up trying to leak our mod, but then realized, oh wait, yeah, trying to look innocent and then leaking other people's work doesn't work well. Yeah, so then they deleted it. But they were still desperate, so instead they went on 4chan and tried to drop a build there. But surprisingly, 4chan just didn't give a shit.
Yeah, because okay, I was gonna say, right. So my first interview was this Tales Get Troll one, and I asked them, is there anything that's been leaked, and they said like a little bit before the one was released, a whole build actually dropped on 4chan, but just no one paid attention to it, and
Yeah,
they
like-
were like, awesome.
Yeah, like no one cared when it dropped, thankfully.
Mhm.
There were still some little issues here and there where some YouTube accounts were like posting things, but look, a lot of them did thankfully take things down when asked. But
Mhm.
there's some cheeky people who are like, "Oh yeah, look, hey, look, here's a really look at Catfight," and I'm not taking it down because fuck you, haha.
Benefit to at least with Catfight was it was a song that was already shown off. Like it was at least the beginning of it was shown off. Like not the entirety of it though.
Yeah.
Because it was teased at one of the conventions Duster went to.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think back in 2022, whatever year it was, I think that I was at MomoCon. The reason I went to MomoCon was Jake Neutron was holding an FNF themed panel.
Yes.
It was him, me, Yoetz Crow, and originally BB Ponzu was going to be there, but they
Uh-huh.
had graduation that same week of the con, so they weren't able to show up in person. So it was just us three on doing the panel. Panel went not very great in terms of things going right, but we still had a
Yeah.
good time.
I'm pretty sure I heard like it just froze or something like that.
Yeah, because Jake bought a computer dedicated for that whole panel, and the whole thing kept freezing, and it was kind of a nightmare. But at least the parts we really wanted to show, still we got to do. And then one of the things I wanted to show was the first time I showed a small snippet of Catfight, which was the Natsuki Yuri argument song.
in Momocon.
Yeah, it was shown at the MomoCon panel on the screen because I had a little trailer I made for it to show off like,
Wow.
here's the new thing that's coming to Plus.
So you know Jake Neutron.
Yeah, I've known Jake Neutron for a bit. I guess we're not like super buddy, but at the time when Jake was looking for people who might wanted to host a panel at MomoCon,
Okay.
so I offered to do that, and so then he was very gracious to help get me like a pass to get in.
Yeah.
So and then. And I guess that's a completely different. I can go on a long story about how awesome that MomoCon trip was, but but thanks to him, I was able to go and help host that panel, and it was a very good time. So shout outs
Right.
to Jake.
Funnily enough, he always shows up in every interview that I've done. So I mean, okay, except from the Tales Get Troll one, I think. Except from that one, I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, Zach. But I think for the BB Pans one, directly, Jake Neutron was brought up somehow, and I've always said I really want to interview him because he's my #1 goal, and that's still true. But the more I say this, the more I seem obsessive. So I'm gonna try and stop that, maybe. But I know what you mean.
He's just a really cool dude. That's why he's everywhere.
I know he's my favorite. Okay. He's actually my favorite artist of all time. Inspired me again to art. A really big part of like modding for me. I've seen his content for I think it was since like 2018, 19, not too sure. But I really want to interview him. It would be a long interview. But yeah, that's really cool about how that happened. So the question? Okay, I'm gonna actually pronounce that because last time I pronounced it as question 2022, and I'm like, we don't have that many questions. So question 21. This is about the Weh engine, but fucking you ruined the order.
I'm sorry. It's actually what
I'm joking. You just love talking about the Dokis. All right, and then question 23 also ruined. Jesus, it's fine. The question 22. Right, question 22. That's how you say it. Question 22. Do you think any of the Dokis would crush on boyfriend or girlfriend?
Nope.
No?
Well, one, I guess they kind of. I think the biggest aspect being they disrespect the fact that those two are together.
Yeah.
So I guess that's one thing. So if you see two people that are together, it's not going to cross your mind that you would want to be like, oh, I'm kind of into that guy, or I'm kind of into girlfriend. But also in the case of us, I just don't think. I think they need more substance for any of those characters. I think boyfriend, girlfriend, two of the other Dokis are the epitome of the goofy friends that show up to sing. I don't think you'd be anything ever more than just that with them.
That's fair enough. Question 24. So and a lot of the menu stuff and even with some of the songs, there was a lot of like mod character cameos. I forgot the character. It's the one that Sayori brings back to the club. Everyone's like, what is that?
That is Max Ok's character,
Yes.
Zipper.
Yes. There's that. There's Tabby. There's fucking loads, and there's a lot of the Juno songs mod characters.
Yeah.
Is there any more don't spoil every future one. That's for the later on stuff, right? But hypothetically, if there was more content, what other mod characters would you include? So this could be like the new mod characters that have just been introduced, like from media. And I just say like a Mori, for example, from Funk Space, or like any ones that you've missed out on.
I think we basically covered all the main ones we wanted to do as like menu cameos in the Takeover Plus, because we added a lot more that I definitely knew I wanted to do. Because like I knew one thing, I definitely wanted to do one with Niku as a reference to Deep Poems, because I wanted to thank Sarki for making that whole thing happen. So we have a menu animation that is
I saw that one
just like a Rick's Prep recreation of like that song.
I saw that as I was doing my research yesterday. I saw it and I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, and then there's a lot, especially a lot of the new ones, because I wanted to emphasize the one mod that came out like right before Takeover Plus was Imposter V4, and when we were starting to announce that Takeover Plus was coming out, we had a lot of people being like, this is because the V4 is the talk of the town right now. Everyone's like, this is going to be so much better than this, and like that. I'm like, that's not what we're trying to do here. We're trying to be a community, just making stuff. We're not trying to like compete with each other. So like,
I've seen like a lot of mods, but like, okay, we can't release it this day because this mod's coming out this day. I had to push it back because it's been drowned out by Imposter. And I think it's like, and arguably as well, like Imposter's like one of the probably the biggest mod in the community.
Yeah, and it felt like people were just trying to put us against each other because we're both making things the same thing, but never really felt like that to me because I wanted it to feel like a community. Yeah. So like one of the things I did work on as like an actual bonus menu animation that I didn't like plan at the time was one with Gray Imposter from the new update, and then also we worked with one of the musicians for Imposter because one thing people did want in Takeover Plus was more cover songs, and that sort of wasn't really in the plan at the time. And this was a very, very late plan into the mod, as in like it was started and done within less than a month, like a month or two before the mod came out, which was the cover of Titular originally from the Henry Stickmin mod, but now redone for V4. So like I was wanting with things like that, and also we had another cameo animation with Bendy specifically repping Indie Cross and Afton repping Funkin at Freddy's to just a shout out to our other like indie horror mod friends because they're very chill, and we just wanted to like, we are a community, not a competition. Things like that.
Yeah, because we got to last time, because last interview I was speaking to Rec D, and he was like, and he I actually tweeted this out. Oh, I think it was yesterday. I'm pretty sure. About how FNF people are actually like sending death threats to him over the fact that Tabby versus Tabby with lyrics is not released yet, and it's like, come the fuck on, man, really?
We got things to do in life.
Like FNF fans go wild, man. They go wild. It's
It's quite a bit of nonsense, but like I like having this community feel like a community, and everyone always talks about like, oh, I miss the days where all the mods were characters were friends, things like that. It's like we're trying to do that, but every time we do that, some people are like, no, thing is mid, this thing's better.
Yeah.
So it's like let's just fucking just make fun things. Go on, George.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like in my opinion, it's because the communities keep putting mods against each other, it becomes a very toxic environment, which is why I like what DDTO did. Even if this is a Doki-centered mod, we still appreciate all the other mods that are coming out because this is the game that we're all passionate about and it's something that we all care for. So, all the cameos is really nice because, we're all friends. We don't have to be enemies,
That's like prime quoting right now.
Yeah, we just want to be chill with all the other people in the community, and luckily we basically were able to do that with all of the menu animations.
Yes.
There really wasn't any plans to do any more beyond the ones we already did. There's no things like Juno's character with the ninjas and Snowy Scramble, like Hachima from Polyphunk, because we're very good buddies with them and all things like that. There was only one menu animation that was going to be done, but it was at the time when there's like a week or two left to finish the mod, and I kind of wanted to prioritize some other things that ended up not making it in. And it was specifically a menu animation of Monica interacting with Torrent from Friday Night Troubleshooting, because that is one of my favorite mods.
Yes.
And I really like working with both the people who on that mod and also just like these characters a lot. So I had like the FLA already to make this little animation of like basically it was just going to be Monica like fiddling with some code, and then Torrent would just start like being cheeky and messing with it, and then freak her out. But I didn't have the time to actually animate that and make that happen. So unfortunately, Torrent did not get to make it.
So we're moving on there. So question 25. Do you think any of the Dokis in Doki Doki Takeover Plus would ever switch to like a music club? Because when I was reading a dialogue, they were all saying how they enjoyed like singing a lot and that kind of stuff. Like, so would they ever switch over to music?
I think the music kind of them being interested in music is directly a cause of just BF being around them, because like once like boyfriend girlfriend take their leave for a little bit, they start to go back to like what they usually do, and then as we had kind of explained in the beginning dialogue for Love and Funkin, where they come back every so often to still sing with them because they're still buddy, that's when they start to go back to like their main singing. Poetry is still like their main focus, so I don't think they'd full on switch because they are still the literature club.
Yeah, that's fair enough. So I may as well just throw this one right in at the minute. But so I was doing this. That's a bonus question, second bonus question. So yesterday I was playing a game as research, right? And I noticed that the Senpai versus Monica song I think it's the end of the first week. I think is it Poems and Thorns? I'm pretty sure.
The ending of the first like story week, like the very last song for them together. That's a remix of Your Reality.
Is okay. So that song and Reconciliation, are those two linked?
Not really.
Damn it.
Because the reason that remix of Your Reality existed because in the original Takeover we had a Blantato's cover of Senpai and Monica singing Your Reality.
I've not heard that in a while.
Yeah, so we had that in the mod originally, but it was a song that not really any people like interacted with because it used the original instrumental from DDLC and not an original song. But the thing is, so I kind of already wanted to get rid of it in Plus, but the problem came from the fact that it's sort of like a story important song because it's the song they sing together when Senpai refers to them, when Senpai at the end of Your Demise is like, hey, care for another song in the original mod. So I had to keep it there, but I obviously couldn't, but wanted to redo it. So we had Unstorm as the one to basically do their own take on a Your Reality remix between those two, and we got to throw it in as like a special fourth song in the original Pixel Week that people weren't expecting, which was nice.
I was a bit because I was playing it and like I was hearing like the same kind of like I don't know my music terms, but the same like melodies and that kind of stuff in Reconciliation, and I had this like theory like, oh my god, so Monica learns stuff from Senpai in that song, and it's like she's practicing her apology to Senpai. She comes back into the world, she's now apologizing like she practiced, and I'm like, wow, that's so genius, and like it's not actually a thing, and I'm like, god damn it.
It was just more like, oh, he wanted to sing a song, Monica was like, all right, and this was the song she had.
Consider that idea though. Consider that idea.
Mayhaps. The story is basically set at this point.
It was just like me saying that into the silence, just like, you're not going to consider it, are you?
Because the thing is, like, I didn't say anything, but I give, like, you know, like, that one, like, mayhaps.
Perhaps. So moving on to, okay, so, alright, question 26. So, who do you think would be the best singer canonically?
It's kind of hard to call because you can't really hear any of them sing other than Monica, but given that, especially Monica's the one with the song in the original DDLC, and then she's the one who's very heavily music associated because she's also a piano player.
Yeah.
I think I just assume that it's her as the best because she has the most practice.
She's a pianist?
Yes.
So I'm incredibly immature. As that with the Rec D1.
Yeah, if I had to answer the question, most likely it's Monica.
Okay. I was gonna say Yuri because like how the dialogue said she's got such a good singing voice.
I guess we're in Takeover case because like obviously like I keep everything as in character as possible. Obviously there's still like me just like having some little bits of extra just so to flesh out some bits of like why they're singing now. So like the detail about like Natsuki singing into her hairbrush and her
Yeah.
mirror is like obviously that's not something she's done in the original game, but it's the kind of thing where it's like she would do that, and I feel
Yeah,
like that would
yeah.
just by her liking singing. So little things like that would like adding that just emphasize like why they're even singing together in the first place. And I think just given that Yuri has like a very soft spoken, like
Yeah.
deeper tone voice, she just would sound good if she would sing. Is that she just doesn't because she feels like she had trouble singing out loud the same way she would just like reading a poem out loud initially.
So question 27. Were other mods planned for song/weeks? So essentially, would another mod character show up in like a song or a week?
Not like other mod characters, but I definitely talked about this on Twitter. The development that eventually became the Love and Funkin song with the playable girlfriend went through a lot of different idea changes, and the original idea for that song was that it was going to be a song where after like BF and GF had broken free into their world, is that they would basically start introducing them to their friends, which would include the base game characters.
Yeah.
Originally, the plan was going to be basically it was for a while it was under the code name DDLC versus FNF as that song's like code name, and basically it was going to be Sayori, Yuri, and Natsuki versus Pico, Spooky Kids, and Tank Man, and that was the original plan, was just have them show up in the base game areas against more base game characters.
Yeah.
But as we like tried figuring out more things with that idea, it's like how it's like I won the interest in it was sort of not there, and also just like it was hard to make it feel like it felt I don't know, just didn't know how to make it work in a way where I wanted it to. And there's still remnants of that idea in Takeover Plus because I intentionally left some of their icons that I made because we added winning icons for everyone in Plus. So we had made like winning icons for Tankman, Spooky Kids, and Pico. That way I left in there just in case people wanted them. But that plan originally got scrapped, and we had to go back to the drawing board to fill in like a final bonus song for the side stories menu because we needed 4 to like fill out the menu.
Yeah.
And then one of our sprite artists, IGJH, who did the new Pixel sprites, had mentioned that in this entire mod about a game where you write poems, there wasn't a single song about writing poems. So it's like, oh shit, we should probably do that.
You should do that, probably. Yeah, good point.
and then that as we thought about it more, like, because obviously we can't, because of like the rule I mentioned before, that we can't like give like more characters more things. And since we already had the other side story songs planned out, because we already had one with Sayori, Yuri, Natsuki, and the one with Monica and Senpai, we were running out of characters to use, and then we couldn't really use Pro Tag because then the same rule applies. So then it became a case of what other character have we not utilized in this whole mod? And then the answer was girlfriend, because she's just been there the whole time but has not done anything. And then that led to me coming up with the story idea of, oh, what if they wanted to get her involved, and it was like a song featuring all the girls in the mod, so we have all 5 of them. And then having the idea of having her write a poem, including a whole little sequence we have mid-song of her actually like choosing the poem from words in the poem menu, so which is something I thought was fun to do, and then having it end with, oh, she wrote like the raunchiest poem ever because of course a girlfriend did.
Yeah. So this is my third little bonus question, because I just remembered this as you were saying that. What are your this is back in like the fan content stuff. But there was this one cover of Doki, there was this one triple treble cover. It's right. Let me explain this to you. It was the DDLC characters versus the Edgeworld characters from online in triple treble. Have you heard of this cover before?
I see a lot of like people really like putting the Edgeworld characters with the Dokis from our mod. I don't like, obviously I like Edgeworld, and obviously I like these characters a lot, but I always felt so strange seeing how much people really like seeing them interact. Because there's not only that, there's a whole mod that's just like the entirety of Bad Ending, but just replacing boyfriend with different characters from like Edgeworld.
Yeah.
So I thought it was interesting. I was like, I'm surprised people really like this.
That's what I just said, isn't it? Like the triple treble cover.
Was it a triple trouble cover?
It
was
not triple trouble. It was that song that Normal Dingus made. It was I forgot what it was called. I'm gonna look this up real quick.
Was it an EXE song?
Yes, it was.
Going through YouTube, it's 4-way fracture.
4-way fracture.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's a community game video, DDLC versus Edgeworld, fandom fracture.
I've only seen it in passing, and I think it's very interesting how much people like putting these two things together.
Yeah.
At least, at the very least, that sits better with me. Putting Edgeworld DLC together sits better than putting DDLC and Sonic.exe. So I guess I don't have much to say about it. Then cool.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
To be fair, I do like the idea of like Fleetway Monica. Would be kind of cool. Totally put that in a mod. Just kidding.
Nope.
No. Get fucked.
Nuh-uh. I smite V down. That's such an idea.
Just put versus Monica. Fucking put Fleetway Monica. Nuh-uh. Fuck you mean nuh-uh. Okay. Where were we? So this is I think you actually answered this. I don't know where it was, but I saw it yesterday. But I'm like, I'll keep it anyway. But question 28: why was the bad ending not included in Doki Doki Takeover Plus?
It's not included for a few reasons. I think the biggest one being that bad ending was just made in a completely different engine because bad ending is made in Psych. Well,
right, okay.
Takeover was still made in our like very heavily Frankenstein modified engine, which is the Hoa engine.
The Hoa engine.
Especially because like how events work in Psych are so much different than how they work in Takeover Plus. It would require way too much porting, especially because I spent way too long making the events like do specific things and act a certain way in bad ending because I wanted to get a certain specific feeling, and I'm trying to incorporate all of that back in and then backport it to this would take too much time. And I think another big reason is just that bad ending in general is just more like it's more like
a side
with
project.
how Takeover is more on like the happier side of things and the lighter side, whereas bad ending has the more darker stuff. So it has like blood and like more of the things that like Doki, the original one, its warnings to begin with.
Yeah.
And I wanted to kind of tack that onto this thing because it feels sort of out of place because bad ending feels like its own unique like experience, especially given that's like a side thing in general. So I think keeping it as a side mod feels better. Well, people constantly ask me like, why isn't it in the main mod? And it's like, whoops, sorry, we're not doing that.
So you want to just move on? All right, let's go for it.
Yeah.
I didn't do your answer. Like, you want to move on? Yes. Sorry. So as I thought of this one up like yesterday as well. So question 29: would there ever be a Your Demise Sayori mix? Because Sayori is the club president after Monica gets deleted.
I mean, not really. It's a very like random, feel like kind of random combination of song and character because Murder Demise is very much specific to that moment. I guess we didn't do self covers in Takeover where it's like here's this character singing another character's song from the same mod because all of our covers are just from things from other mods we like. So there really wasn't. I think that's a very specific idea that wasn't anything I thought of attempting to do. But there's absolutely a cover of that exists by someone somewhere.
Yes, that's what I just thought of there.
So someone's got your back, but it wasn't something we ever thought of doing officially.
Man, where is Sayori Mix? Fucking, I'm just like my YouTube name. Fucking Passport Man 132. I got you. You can tell my name because I just looked at my taskbar and I'm like, that's the name. Anyway, yeah. So actually, I'll just say while I'm here, actually, any other bonus things that I'm thinking. Actually, no, I'll save it for after all the written questions are done. Yes. So question 30, this is like the big, wow, is this gonna happen? Will there be a V4?
Nope.
But
there are several questions. I saw several questions are relating to is there a V4, but we've said, I guess multiple times that we've spent like almost 3 years working on Takeover and making it as big as a mod as it is. I don't think...
Yeah.
I think we've reached a point, especially with Plus, where we've basically done every single thing we could want to do before reaching a point where the mod becomes bloated with too much unnecessary content. Because obviously we think about it long enough, there could be like 20 other things we could do, and there's a lot of things people want. People are like, oh, where's the minus week? Like,
that's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask that. I forgot to include that. Would there be a minus week?
It's like, yeah, we could do that, but I feel like at that point it's just like it feels a bit bloated.
There's like minus, there's B-sides, there's this kind of...
Yeah, like, I think when it comes to stuff where it's like AU things, if there has to be some sort of AU-related content relating to DDTO, for me it's a matter of like equal trade-offer type deal. Or if we include like AU content or like from like AU mods like D-sides, B-sides, B3, whatever, in DDTO, then my rule is that there has to be DDTO content in the official AU mod itself. So like Which so like if people want like D-Side's boyfriend to be an option as one of BF's costumes in DDTO plus, then there had to have been some sort of DDTO content in D-Sides, for example.
Yeah.
But we didn't really make any plans, things like that.
That's fair
And that's
enough.
also what ended up why one of Monica's original costumes was sort of scrapped, because she used to have, like, there was plans to give her a costume based on a design I made of her a long time ago, as if for
Was it FNF Neo?
yeah, it was
Yes,
Neo
I got
Monica.
it right.
There was a plan for her to have the Neo costume that I
Mhm,
designed as a costume, but at the time I was sort of uncertain on how Neo was turning out, because it seemed it was
whatever happened in Neo? Because I was wondering this yesterday.
there was a long period of dormancy where just nothing seemed like it was happening, and I think Jellyfish, the original director, had stepped down, but I think they're back on it now. But
Honestly,
I
I would
had
love to see Neo again.
I had left the team at the time, and I don't know if this is like spoiling dev secrets, because this is something that was going to be for like long ago, and they probably changed plans. But a reason I was even on the team at the first time was because there was plans to have Neo Monica show up officially in the older plans for Neo. But since things were kind of going like very like slow, I ended up leaving the team because I also got busy with my own things, so I couldn't really do that.
Yeah.
So, and luckily now they have completely different plans on what they want to do with Neo, so they're probably not doing Neo Monica anyway, which is okay. So that's all fine with me. But if they ever do want to at a point reach out and make that happen again, if they have the time to do that, because they probably are reworking a lot of what they wanted to do. But I guess literally just they just gotta shoot me a DM, and then I'd be down to do it.
I got into contact with you, so surely they can. I didn't think I could do it.
I guess it's more a sense of like I'm probably not gonna reach out if they want it. It's more so like if they're still interested and they want to hit me up, so like, hey, can we still do this now? Then they have my approval. And the same goes for like if someone from like D-Sides or B3 suddenly shows up at my door and it's like, can we do Doki content in our AUMOD? Then the answer is going to be a thumbs up. And then if they need any sort of help on it, then I'd be willing, us and also people on TBD would be willing to help on that. But as of right now, we really don't have anything like that planned.
Okay. I think that's everything I want to say on that. I do remember the Monica Neo design. I actually liked it a lot.
Went fucking crazy for that.
I think it's all I'm gonna say. Yeah, I'm just gonna move on for time's sake. See, the thing is, okay, yeah, as I was gonna say that, right, I was gonna say, we got sidetracked, right? I thought originally, from yesterday, that you were gonna put Bad Ending into Takeover Plus, so I was dead set and like, oh, they're gonna do it, surely, and I had like all these questions, so, okay, so we'll do hypotheticals, right? So, question 31, so, hypothetically, what do you think would be remade / changed?
I don't really know, because we kind of established like basically everything we wanted to do, and it's like I don't really know what I'd want to change or anything, because I feel like we figured it all out.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, if like, because I'm biased against my own art, like I'd look at the sprites and be like, man, it'd be cool if I could just redo all the main sprites, but that would take too long. And I feel like if I'm not the one doing it myself, if it starts to feel less like my own mod, because whenever I direct a project, I don't want to just be a director. At least that's how I am. Like, I just want to give some advice to everyone because people kind of throw out like, people kind of throw out that stereotypical FNF mod directors just want everyone else to do their ideas for them. You should not, it's because this makes a lot of my director friends feel insecure when people say things like that. Do not feel like your directorial abilities are based around what you do beyond being a director. So like, because being a director is directing everyone, make sure everyone's good. So don't feel like you're a bad director if you can't also make a song or do art for the project you're doing.
Yeah.
As long as you're being a good director, then you're doing a good job at what you're doing. But like, so I just want to say that to anyone who feels like, I'm not doing enough for like the project I'm hosting because I have all these other people doing everything else for me. As long as you're being a good director and treating everyone good, you've done your job well as a director.
Yippee!
And that's something I just want to make sure everyone knows when they're doing things like this. But at least for me as a director, I like being involved in the projects because I like making things.
Yes.
So if I had to do something, I would love to go back and just redux the main sprites because they're on the older side. But at the same time, it's like that's a lot of work. And also we made like 40 costumes for using those sprites, so that's a lot more to do. So I'm like, no, we're good.
Yeah,
I'm leaving that as is.
Platinum Arcade, like we doing boyfriend, that kind of stuff. And I would love to see boyfriend redone, but I'm like, no, that would take a very long time.
Yeah.
He said he was fighting the urge to.
Yeah, I will say because we are working on one last like quality of life update to Bad Ending. It's one that doesn't really include much like new content in terms of songs because we're not adding more songs, but it's more just me wanting to basically like now that we have Takeover Plus out and we have a lot more updated assets, so I just want to go back to Bad Ending and sort of add some of those new things into there, so Bad Ending feels more modernized.
Yeah.
And so I will be going back and redoing a few things, so like redoing some of Boyfriend sprites because I still have to give him the tie again, and then like a few other small things and changes. So there's going to be some sort of like small adjustments in sprite wise for that mod because it's a lot easier to do it there. But in terms of main Takeover Plus, like there's nothing I want to do more with that mod. I think we've done it.
So what was it? So again, so with okay, so I written this as pure copium. Does anything that show up on this for V4? Okay,
Unfortunately,
we'll go around
no,
it.
we don't
Anything
got
to possibly show up for the Bad Ending.
There's nothing. Unfortunately, I didn't have much of a time to do too much of the new stuff for Bad Ending. At least stuff that haven't already shown off because I've been I've been in a bit of a financial crises this month.
I saw that. I'm really sorry about that part.
A lot of my time has been focused on just like surviving and doing work to get the money to pay rent and food.
You should
and stuff.
all totally commission this person, right?
Anyways, but so I didn't really have too much time to work on any of the new stuff, but I will say at least for Bad Ending, like a lot of things I want to do is things like new game over animations because we didn't have any in the original, some sprites getting tweaked and things like that. And I've only really two things have been posted about the mod right now, which is the fact that we confirmed that one of the big things of this update is that every song is getting an unfair difficulty. So which will bring back everyone's favorite insta kill notes of Markov as a difficulty option. For every song.
I was playing that for fucking Epiphany. Was that one that had the Markov notes?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, God help me when I was doing that.
Yeah, so
one.
now you're gonna be able to play through every single Bad Ending song with. It's an optional difficulty. We're not replacing the original, but that's what part of the unfair update is. I'm adding unfair difficulty to every song.
I will totally let you know when I stream, and you can totally hear me crying when that happens.
And that's the big thing, and that we showed off how that looks in the free play menu. And then the only other thing I really showed off was during one of the new improvements I'm doing to Stagnant is the icons during the section where everyone goes sketchy is they're going to be animated now. So I think that they look really nice. So I posted how the new Boyfriend icons look.
Yes.
And then, but other than that, it's not. I really don't have anything else to show off. I would if I could. It's just I've been in a bit of a bind this month.
No, you're fine. So last question being, is there any future mod/projects planned for Team TBD?
Yes, there's quite a bit we've had in the pipeline for quite a while. Like there's the big one that I've been putting most of my time and focus to when I have the time to do FNF stuff is one of our other OC mods, which is Flavor Rave, which is the mod we entered into the Turtle Pal Tapes mod jam, I think a while back, that we actually won. So it was just crazy how that happened. And it's that project has felt really special to me because it feels like something that we've all made together and something that we can wholeheartedly as a team call our own. So we've been working on adding more to that. So there's more characters and things to that we want to do. And then we also have our other mod that we've had a demo out for a long time. The other OC mod I mentioned earlier, versus Toyota, which it's been a bit on, Sparks had been a bit slow on it, but we're nearing a point where we can finally get that full week version of that mod out so people can play. And then we have one other project that I can't talk about that is almost completely done. When it drops, it's going to be a full shebang. And it's something you probably wouldn't expect from us, especially from a team that I run. But I'm not the director of it because it's being solely directed by our musician Kai, who's did all the music for it. When that mod drops, it'll hopefully drop soon. We're waiting on a few extra final little things like charting and art wise. But once that is done, we'll be unveiling it soon. And then once it's unveiled, it's it's out now. Go play.
Yeah. Well, you know what they say. I will be there no matter what. I will play it on stream. You're free to watch the stream if you want to, but if you don't, that's completely fair because I'm just a random fucking person with a little mic.
I tune into people playing our stuff because I'm like, ooh, I wonder what they think.
Yeah, that'll be amazing. Then. So all the best. Okay, so that's all. That's all the written questions I have. I had one more bonus question in my head that I've actually forgotten. Fuck. What was the one bonus question I had? Damn it. Where is Zach when you need them? the last time we did this, Zach just asked Recti, what do you think? What do you know the FNAF for? And I'm not asking that again because Zach will fucking laugh. So no more of that shit.
I'm not the guy to ask about FNAF more.
Oh,
I'm not a big FNAF guy either.
Oh, rip. Do I have any more bonus questions? Damn, I don't even know. I had one. I swear I had one more bonus question in my head. Let me just look through my list real quick and just I don't think I have anything else. I think I'm good. No, yeah, I'm all out of questions. So yeah, that'll kind of wrap up this interview then. This was a solid, let me check, almost 2 hours. Wow, this'll be a huge one. That's because you were rambling the whole time, but it's fine. It's fine.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Everyone knows when I talk about things like this, I talk a bit.
Yeah.
George knows.
This
well.
was fun. This was a really fun time. Honestly, I like you're more passionate in this kind of stuff.
Yes.
So is there anything you want to close off like with the interview saying? Like any like I don't know if I don't even know. Anything you want to talk about with the mod, any advice, anything.
George, do you have anything? So I have to think about if anything I have.
If you're working on stuff, or if you're just a fan of the community, you don't argue against like people saying which mod is better, which mod is worse, or whatever. That's all there really is to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just be nice to people who are making content for you, bro. Like, base game is taking a bit to get a new update, and all these modders are passionate about making content for this dumb rhythm game that everyone loves.
Mm-hmm.
Just enjoy what you have right now, because we don't know when this will end, and we don't know if it'll continue on forever.
Yeah. No, I don't have any more questions as well. I would just say I'll see you when I make Fleetway Monica, but I don't want to be taken down on Game Banana. I'll be put in ban list probably.
Good.
We can talk about the only.
Put Fleetway Monica on the ban list. That would that was.
You know how to put on a list, but keep it away from me.
Here, this is the only alternate Monica you need. There you go.
Oh,
yeah,
good
Slime
Monica,
Monica.
let's go.
Slime Monica, let's go. Yeah.
Yo, wait, hold on. There we go.
There we
There
go. No! I clicked in the name. But that is it. Thank you both for coming on. This was actually really, really nice. I will probably discuss the next interview I'll do. I'm thinking maybe something like B3 or Jake Neutron. That's not gonna happen. But I will just see what happens next. Cause I did my main 3 of people, and I'm just going through whoever I can now. But thank you both for joining on. It was really nice having you two.
No problem. Thank y'all for having us.
Yeah. So we'll see you all later on. When this uploads, I'll record my opening, all that kind of stuff, and just I hope the best for all of your stuff with Team TBD. What does TBD stand for, by the way?
It means to be determined, because
Bro.
when we started making mods that weren't DDTO, we couldn't call ourselves the DDTO team anymore, so we had to think of a name. So while we tried to figure out a name, so I just put the name as TBD, and then we just really liked it, so now we're stuck with it.
God damn it! You should think of a better acronym then. A better meaning towards that. But yeah, but thank you all. Thank you both for coming on. Thank you all for watching this video. The outro will be shortly, but this will be banger interview video. So yeah, thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Say bye, everyone.
Goodbye, folks.